What's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk about two of my favorite books and some subtle connections that they have with each other. Some of the connections aren't very subtle at all. They just aren't said outright. And the two books are The Shining and It. Stephen King is probably my favorite author. I've read a lot of the stuff he's done. I've listened to a lot of audiobook versions of his books, which is, I feel, enhances the experience of reading his books, especially if it's done by, a good narrator, like on Audible. The guy who does, or the couple, the dudes who have been doing the books I've been listening to are awesome. Awesome. Like the guy who narrates it, Steve Weber, fantastic. I couldn't recommend that book enough. Specifically on Audible, he does a great job. All the voices are so good. But I wanted to talk about, there's a character from The Shining that is a super important character that comes out in It super randomly, that you would only know if you've read the book. It's not in the movie. Hopefully we get to see it in the new movie. Fingers crossed. But Dick Halloran, the chef from The Shining, the one who, tells Danny about his ability. Not really tells him, but, informs him that it's a thing, that he's not insane. The one who, the chef, he is in It for probably one of the most intense sequences in the book, in my opinion. And it's the fire at the black spot. It takes place in the 30s. I shouldn't be guessing this. I should probably have looked this up, but I'll put like a number here. But I thought this was so random because I remember the first couple times I listened to the book, to listen to It, I heard the name and I was just like, huh, whatever. Stephen King probably was just using the name. Didn't even connect the dots until a couple days ago, and I was like, oh my god. And then I just went back and listened to that chapter again because right now I'm on my like fifth listen through, and I'd already passed that chapter again. It still didn't click in my head, and then it took until I saw it somewhere and I was like, oh my god, really? And I went back and listened to it again, and Dick Halloran is in It, and it blew my mind. And it explains so much once you think that, since his character is in that, then that means that other people can have the shining ability that he has. And right away, we have 7 prime candidates front and center for who have this shining ability. Our losers club. There's so many examples, so many situations throughout the book and in the movie, mainly in the book, where they're shining. Like, they do the way they beat it as kids. The ritual of should is entirely through their ability to shine. They have to lock tongues and do an entirely telepathic battle with it, telling riddles and jokes, all in their head. That's The Shining. Right now I'm listening and I just passed the part where Eddie breaks his arm, and while he's in the hospital, he's, unconscious, and he has a dream, which he thinks is a dream, of his mom turning his friends away. And then he wakes up and doesn't even say anything about how he thought it was a dream. He knows that it wasn't a dream, that it happened. That his friends really came and his mom sent them away. As soon as the mom comes in, he's like, "You sent my friends away," and she's like, "What the heck?" Even in the lyrics, in the words on the page, she says, like, there's no way he knows that. How did he know that? There's this look on his face. There's something else. It's not Eddie, and it's The Shining, and it's so crazy. There's so many things like that, like when they're adults, and all of them are down in the sewer, and Mike's, because Mike got injured by Butch, by Henry, so he's in the hospital. They all can sense that there's something wrong with him, and they send their power to him. What is that? I never had. I know it's just a book, but I never had friends that I could, people I grew up with, I could sense and send my power. It's not just friendship. They're shining, and that's crazy to, once you think about it like that, and you go through the book and you read the book, and and the way that these kids interact with each other is all because of their shining ability is awesome. It's awesome. Um, but I didn't even touch on Dick. So in the book, he is a cook who works, who's in the army with Will Hanlon, who is Mike Hanlon, the African American kid in the Losers Club. His dad was in the army back in the 20s, and 20s or 30s. Again, I'm gonna get the number. And they started a club because they couldn't go to the normal club because it was segregated, no colors allowed. So they started their own little club, and they called it the Black Spot. And they just every Friday night or whatever, they would open it up and just hang out and drink. And eventually, it got really big. People from town would show up, white people, everybody. And then eventually, it was burnt down by the Legion of White Decency, which was the North's version of the Ku Klux Klan. And a bunch of people died. And in the fire, Will Hanlon was trapped with, I only know these names, Trev Dawson and Dick Halloran. They were trapped inside the building, and Trev Dawson, who was like in charge at the time, for them two, was like, let's go this way, boys. And Dick Halloran grabbed him by the arm and was like, no, spun him around, and they even put his eyes were as big as billiard balls, like he'd seen a ghost. And he said, no, we have to go this way. That's death. We can't go that way. We have to go this way, towards the fire. And the two, Will and Trev, were both like, no, like, you're crazy. But Dick was adamant about it, so they went with him, trusted his gut, and he led them to safety. They survived. They were able to crash a truck into the building and save a bunch of other people, which if Dick wouldn't have been there, they would have died, and it wouldn't have saved anybody. And so to think that he knew to go that way because of the shining, because there was something else, pushing him along, because he could have easily just went with Trev and then tried to get through that door, and then everybody would have just burnt up and died. But since it's so insane. And so it just makes me think, like, is the evil that is at the Overlook Pennywise? I know Pennywise isn't its name, but that could be a thing. Who knows? Stephen King is a wild author. He's amazing. I want to make future videos on more stuff, just random stuff like this. This was literally just me sitting here talking one take about just The Shining. I can make more videos like this, because I love The Shining. I love it. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I told you guys something new you didn't know about Dick Halloran being the connection between the two. Introducing the Shining ability into it and explaining the the Losers Club connection that they have. Even Henry Bowers, maybe he even shines a little bit. But alright guys, this video, I wanted it to be shorter, but who cares? Alright guys, peace.